this is Armstrong Williams on the right side. Don't curse, speak English. Virtuous society. I dare you to listen.
Hey, turn it up. Hey, Armstrong, get on the right side. Armstrong,
elevate your mind.
Armstrong,
I'm Armstrong Williams on the right side.
Armstrong, yo, man, it's your boy KO. And you're tuned into the most conservative of our brothers.
The Armstrong Williams Show. Please give me a break. Grow up. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of the Armstrong Williams Show. Thank you so much for joining us. You know, there are always debates about the Keynesian school of economics. And naturally, I disagree with much of the opposition and my well-meaning colleagues on the left in regards to Keynes and his school of economics. Many in this school of thought cannot accept the fact that Keynesian economics has never worked. It did not work in the Depression, nor has it worked any time since then, if they want to admit the truth. The only time stimulus has worked is after the economy has already recovered and then becomes overheated by the stimulus. Keynesian economics is an excuse, in my opinion, for politicians to buy off special interests and voters with other people's money. And so, first, stimulus spending creates jobs. False stimulus, financed by taxes, substitutes relatively inefficient government spending for private spending. In other words, government spending cries out private spending, and the opposition may disagree that public spending is less efficient, but the recent analysis of the government spending laws does not support their point of view. Second, many will tell you that it is hot taxation, that is not taxation, but debt that is financing the government spending. Thus, it is not private spending. I maintain that government debt cries out private borrowing and investment, and many of my anti-capitalist colleagues say that government spending is not crying out private investment because interest rates are low. Therefore, there is plenty of money to finance private investment. Unfortunately, in an attempt to protect depositors and the government guarantee of such deposits, the bank regulators have increased the credit underwriting requirements on banks, and consequently, they are not lending to small and medium-sized businesses. And so the business community realized that the increased money supply is financing government spending, and the private sector must eventually pay the piper. Consequently, the business community is not investing as much as it might because it is concerned about inflation and higher future taxes to pay for the borrowing. Since business investments takes time for a return, the businessman making investment now expecting a 2 or 3 year from now knows that his taxes are going to be increased with the expiration of the Bush tax cuts, which looks like now they're going to be renewed. Just my rambling thoughts. Every so often we feature candidates who are running for office around the country, and our in-person profile of the day is Joe Christoforski. His career spans over 35 years in education and technology, but I'm really interested in his career in banking and finance. He's running for Congress, yes, for the 6th Congressional District in Maryland, which is part of the national capital area of our nation's capital. He was CEO of PDS Research Associates, founded an EVP with America Corporation, and SVP with First Data Corp. He's a dynamic leader with a long list of accomplishments, including company startups, growing businesses, and job creation. I know you're running for office, and welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me on the show this evening, Armstrong. Nice to be here.
What are your thoughts on Keynesian economics?
It doesn't work. It has never worked, and it will never work. The creation of the government stimulus packages, throwing money into the economy, where you get a short term spike, and then it drops off. The only way we're going to recover is for an economic recovery through businesses expanding and businesses hiring. Once businesses start hiring and expanding, consumer confidence will go up, and consumer spending will increase again. It just does not work. There's no way it works. It's been proven over and over again, not only in this country, but in other countries throughout the world also.
So their argument of skyrocketing business investment is based on historical low investment in 2009, which was created by the worst recession since the Great Depression. Investors in 2011 were just merely catching up, and their investment is not above the trend line.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's sad. I'm always interested in talking to an entrepreneur, a businessman, because what do you think? What do you think about the recent payroll tax cut extension? What recently came before Congress and was passed? What are your thoughts on the pros and cons?
Well, the payroll tax extension is going to help. Is going to put some money back in people's pockets. Not a lot. Not a lot. The average is going to be about $400 and $400 a year into people's pockets. It's going to help a little bit, but it's not going to help in the long run. Again, it's a short-term fix. It's not the long-term fix. The long-term fix is going to be to reduce taxes, reduce government spending, and allow the businesses to invest and to grow and to invest into the economy, go out there, create jobs, and bring the economy forward.
What about extending these unemployment benefits?
Again, it's all short-term. It's not going to be a long-term fix. It's putting money in people's pockets to help them now, all right, which is good. But in the long term, what those people need are jobs. And the government does not create jobs. It's private industry and small businesses that create jobs. 90% of the jobs in this country are from small businesses, mom-and-pop businesses, businesses that employ less than 25 employees in local communities, in local states, not necessarily the large corporations. And those are the ones that are suffering. Those are the ones that have to create the jobs. Increasing the unemployment benefits is helping those that are down and out on their luck, but it's not a long-term solution. The long-term solution is to allow business to grow and take away the uncertainty that exists in the business environment today, because they don't know what's going to happen next. So because they don't know what's going to happen next, they don't know what the government's going to do next. The banks haven't freed up the money because, as you said, the tightness of the credit scoring and ratings these days. Until that frees up, until we get those types of investments, short-term government stimulus, government packages, and increasing unemployment benefits is a stimulus almost. It's not going to work. It has not worked in the past. It's not going to work in the future.
Joe Christoforski is a candidate for Congress for the 6th Congressional District of the great state of Maryland. He and his wife, Fran, have been together for 30 years and have one adult child. His wife is a vice president with a financial service company. He was a U.S. congressional candidate, a Reagan Republican Club lifetime member, Mayor's Council on Employment Development. Here's the thing. The left's idea to stimulate the economy through a tax credit for firms that increase employment, don't you feel it shows a fundamental lack of understanding of why companies increase employment? And let me just say this, and I don't know if you're going to agree, you're an employer, you understand the marketplace, you're a businessman, and you definitely know what you're talking about. Jobs, Joe, are a byproduct of increased sales and revenues. Companies do not like to hire employees, if I can be so bold. They're expensive, require management, and cannot be easily laid off in the event of incompetence or loss of business. Companies increase employment, Joe, because they have additional business that needs to be processed, and they cannot process it through overtime or increased capital. So no businessman in his right mind would hire someone merely because labor is 10% cheaper because of tax credits. He would only increase employment if that is his only alternative to process additional business. If he has additional business, then he will hire additional employees regardless of the 10% credit.
Absolutely, Armstrong. The 10% credit, again, is a short-term solution. That 10% credit, when that credit expires, what's going to happen to those employees that they hired? The 10% credit is not going to entice businesses to hire employees. What's going to entice businesses to hire and increase staff is an increase in business, not a temporary tax credit or a short-term tax credit or short-term grant from the federal government. It's going to be an increase in sales as a result of people going out there buying merchandise and spending. That's what's going to put people back to work, and that's what's going to make in business invest in growth.
Common sense to me.
Short-term tax credits.
Yes, this is the Armstrong Williams Show. Joe Krakowski is our guest. He's running for Congress for Maryland's 6th Congressional District. You know, you're running for office. I know you guys have all these grandiose ideas, and you make all these promises, and you say all the right things. You try to do all the right things, and you think it's going to be different if you are elected. But, you know, the Congress plan for a serious budget reduction in the future does not work without a big initial down payment and spending cut. I mean, and Joe, today's Congress cannot bind future Congresses, and Congress has been notoriously unreliable with respect to the physical management of the country's finances. Only a naive observer of America's today's political environment could believe that Congress will constrain spending to bring the deficit under control when the economy improves. The only point that the left may have, and I think the left has a very good point, is that the physical stimulus may have a small temporary benefit when the money is originally spent, but the extent of the benefit depends on how the money is spent. Example, infrastructure, tax rebates, government programs, and technical arguments about the multiplier effect of the spending. However, it has a negative impact when it is finally paid for. Want to talk about this, your plans in running for Congress for Maryland's 6th Congressional District? I'm Armstrong Williams. Joe Krakowski is our guest. We'll be back.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Anderson Brothers Bank, a family-owned and operated establishment that blends traditional personal service, local market awareness, and advanced technology to meet the financial needs of its customers. Visit abbank.com or call 843-464-6271 to see how they can assist you with your banking needs. Anderson Brothers Bank, celebrating 75 years of community banking, the way it should be. Stability right in your backyard since 1933.
Hello, my name is Ron Moulton. I'm running as a Republican for the City Council in the nation's capital, a political arena dominated by the Democratic Party. I'm seeking office in Ward 7, overwhelmed by unemployment and poverty. For the first time in decades, we have an opportunity to be elected as the people that need the representation the most are now responding to the principles that will uplift them. For more information about my values and to donate, please visit www.ronmoulton.com.
Most Americans simply have never been taught the basics of money management, let alone how to secure their financial future. But there is hope. Financial Education and Literacy Advisors, also known as FELA, does what others don't. FELA teaches financial education. If you'd like more information about providing a financial wellness program for your employees, or a credit-bearing college course in personal finance, or other valuable programs, please visit myfela.com. That's myfela.com, or send an email to info@myfela.com.
Hi, this is Armstrong Williams with an opportunity to own a piece of paradise in Nassau, Bahamas. Spectacular land prices, 8,000 square feet, 20,000 square feet lot, affordable prices, hilltop properties with views of the magnificent sea. Just call 242-677-3120 or 3121 or go to info@rightsidewire.com and leave your information.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
Welcome back to the Armstrong Williams Show. Thank you so much for joining us. Our guest is Joe Krakowski. He's running for the 6th Congressional District in Maryland for Congress. So how do you respond, Joe?
if you know what Congress did, let's take a quick talk about the Budget Control Act that they passed in August of 2011. You're absolutely right. Current Congresses cannot bind future Congresses to spending cuts. You know, they built into what they say $7.9 trillion. It's about $2.1 trillion per year. It's ludicrous. The only way that they could hold the line is to actually cut spending now, pass a balanced budget amendment that would bind future Congresses, pass in that amendment zero-based budgeting, where everything starts at a zero base every year and end in automatic year-to-year increases. Right, that's the only way that current Congress could bind any type of future Congress to any type of spending limits. You know, we pay in our current interest on our debt is nearly $580 billion per year, and the savings that budget bill proposed is $2.1 trillion over 10 years. It's a drop in the bucket, Armstrong. It just doesn't work. They have to realistically cut spending, and they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. The current Congress is not going to do it until we put in Congress people who understand what budgeting is all about, who understand how to control spending.
Why should we believe sending you to Congress is going to make a difference? It's just going to be the same old status quo.
Well, everybody asks that question. What could one person do? Can one person make a difference? Yeah, one person can make a difference when that one person stands up for what's right for the country and what's right for America's future. And it's going to be tough. I mean, I'll admit no matter what it is, it's an uphill battle. But I always stood up strong in business. When in my career, I've always stood up strong and stood up to I hate to use the word the establishment, but stood up to the status quo and held the line for what's right for the country and what's right for the future for our children and our grandchildren. And the current Congress just looks at tax, borrow, and spend more, and tax and borrow and spend more again. We have to make the change, and we need to put people in Congress who are willing to stand up and fight the fight for the American people and for the future of America. Because we're going down the road of, people say, look at what's happening over in Europe, and people say, well, that can't happen here. In 2006, Armstrong, I made a statement that terrorism is a threat to national security, but it's not the only threat we face. And I said in 2006, the future threat we're going to face is an economic one. And I said that don't be surprised if Standard & Poor's and Moody's downgrade the U.S. ratings. All right? And in August of 2010, that's exactly what happened. And people told me in 2006, you're preaching gloom and doom. And in 2010 and 2011, that happened. We need people in Congress who are going to stand up and not serve up a rosy picture of the future, but the reality of the situation.
Which elected?
And we don't have that.
Which elected official, past, present, president, member of Congress, governor, senator, whomever, best reflects who you are if elected?
Well, it's not any one person. I guess it's a combination. All right, a little Ronald Reagan. Currently in the Senate, Rand Paul identifies with a lot of the principles that I support. Dwight Eisenhower. I'd say Eisenhower, Reagan, and currently Rand Paul. From a principle standpoint.
How do you really repair this economy? Does it repair itself? Do you need to tweak the economy? Are there certain policies that need to be in place? What's your vision on how you really repair this economy?
Well, I think what we have to do is we have to cut fiscal budgets to a level and move them back to a level of spending from 2010 to 2011 to 85% of their spending levels. We have to cut all discretionary spending, and we have to bring us back to if we don't have it, we don't spend it. Bottom line. If we continue to spend, we will not survive. The country, we will not survive as a nation if we continue to borrow and spend. If we put the United States on a balance sheet, on a true balance sheet, everybody says, well, the debt's nearly $16 trillion. It's over 100. It's going to be soon over 100% of our GDP. If we put the U.S. on a true balance sheet, our liabilities actually exceed $62 trillion. Our liabilities, not 15 trillion dollars. And we have to stop playing politics and economics with the future. And the balanced budget amendment will go a long way. Repealing Dodd-Frank and reinstating Glass-Steagall will help. Reinstating the budgetary powers of the president to impound funds, a president that every president had since from Washington up to Richard Nixon, with the passing of the 1974 Budget Act. Eliminate any special interest subsidies, and promote job growth through the support of small businesses, who are I'll repeat again, the foundation of the American economy. And the way we're going to do that is by cutting taxes.
What do you feel?
To a flat tax system.
What do you feel in your experiences gives you an advantage if elected?
Well, I've got 35 years experience, banking, finance, healthcare, information technology, multiple disciplines across those different technologies. And what we bring to Congress is that experience base, and the ability to negotiate, and the ability to compromise, and bring people around to a viewpoint that will promote growth in this country.
How badly do you feel this country is hurting economically?
We're in the worst shape we've been since the Great Depression.
Wow!
I think we're even in worse shape than we are since the Great Depression. And we need, we're in a recession. We're in a depression. I mean, look around. $4 a gallon gas soon. I mean, gas is going to be up to $4 a gallon probably before the end of March. We'll probably hit that level. Some places it's already $3.89 and $3.90 a gallon. Right. The American worker is having a harder and harder time to make ends meet. We are in dire straits, and the American people realize that we're in dire straits. Problem is, our Congress has not realized it yet.
Wow, you feel it's that debilitating?
That's how I feel. We don't need stimulus packages. What we need in this country is an emancipation package that will put the words prosperity and pride back into the American vocabulary. The federal government has to be committed to radically cutting spending so that we could have a real and lasting prosperity. We have to over restrictive legislation, bureaucracies that have been created by that legislation. An economic stimulus that would result from cutting taxes would drastically cutting government regulation spending. It'll result in fewer taxes, increases in production, and more jobs. And then the economy will recover.
What should happen with the banking system and the Federal Reserve, Joe?
Well, the banking system is in 1999, we eliminated the Glass-Steagall Act. We repealed Glass-Steagall, which opened it up to commercial banks to become investment banks to become commercial banks, insurance companies to get involved in banking. The repeal of Dodd-Frank repeal of Glass-Steagall put us down the road to economic catastrophe, which is what happened to us. Dodd-Frank is over-regulation of the industry, creating a bureaucracy that is going to continue to grow. The agencies that Dodd-Frank creates will be probably the largest bureaucratic agencies this country has ever seen. We need to repeal Dodd-Frank, reinstitute Glass-Steagall, which was passed in 1933 and saw the economy grow exponentially after the Depression, straight through the end of the 20th century. So we need to need to put that back in place.
Wow. Do you think the euro can survive after the latest bailout?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last question.
Do you think the euro can survive now, as after it was bailed out by the central bank?
Oh, the euro?
Yes.
For a short period of time, I think it will. I think it could sustain itself for a short period of time. The question is, can the U.S. dollar continue to sustain itself?
That is the 800-pound gorilla in the room.
Can the U.S. dollar survive as the world reserve currency?
And you don't think so? Not in the long term.
Well, there's already unless we get control of our currency, unless we stop the fiat production of money by the Federal Reserve, and Congress take control back of the currency, and put it back in the hands of the Treasury instead of the Federal Reserve Bank.
That's a big if.
That is a big if. I agree with you. There is a movement in Congress to do it. There are a number of congressmen, both in the Senate and the House, that are supporting that movement, and that's a movement that I believe has to occur. We have to get control of the currency. We can't keep printing money. It doesn't work. It didn't work in Europe during the Depression, in the days leading up to the 29 crash, up to the Depression, and it's not going to work in the long term for us.
What is your webpage address? What is your webpage address if others want more information about you and your candidacy?
The webpage address is jtkforcongress.org. That's J as in Joseph, T as in Thomas, K as in Kevin, for congress.org.
Is Forsky Greek?
No, it's not. It's actually pronounced. You're doing a good job pronouncing it. It's actually pronounced Christoforsky.
Okay.
And it's Polish.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, and we wish you well.
Thank you for having us on the show, Armstrong. It's a pleasure.
You're welcome. When we come back, Forrest King will join us. Don't go away.
For more information on the Armstrong-Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong-Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Join the millions of Americans who pursue one of our country's finest traditions, from hunting to sport shooting. Since 1871, the NRA has grown as a service organization involved in all aspects of shooting sports and is a proud defender of the Bill of Rights. Join today to begin taking advantage of exclusive membership offers and discounts, including up to $25,000 in insurance coverage. Contact the NRA today. Call 1-800-672-3888 or visit nra.org.
Elder Chicks is an exciting part of the fastest growing segment of the population. Women in their 70s, 80s, and older who are mastering the art of a senior life. We're no longer unseen and unheard. We're providing role models for each other and the baby boomers who are fast approaching retirement. Join our virtual community. Hit www.elderchicks.com on your computer keyboard.
Most Americans simply have never been taught the basics of money management, let alone how to secure their financial future. But there is hope. Financial Education and Literacy Advisors, also known as FELA, does what others don't. FELA teaches financial education. If you'd like more information about providing a financial wellness program for your employees, or a credit-bearing college course in personal finance, or other valuable programs, please visit myfela.com. That's myfela.com, or send an email to info@myfela.com.
To travelers along the road of life who have fallen asleep at the wheel, to the many who woke up in time to avert disaster and get back on the righteous path. For the ones who crashed and survived and now adhere vigilantly to a virtuous and righteous path. Finally, Armstrong-Williams' much-anticipated new book, Reawakening Virtues, gives his insights into these daily challenges and much more. Reawakening Virtues is available in bookstores and at Amazon.com.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong-Williams.
And welcome back to the Armstrong-Williams Show. Thank you so much for joining us. Florence King has served on many boards and commissions, devoting her spare time to various community organizations and projects. These boards include the Granville Academy, a nonprofit organization established by ExxonMobil Oil Corporation as an outreach laboratory designed to provide inner-city youth fundamental business and financial skills needed to assimilate in the economic mainstream. She is also the founder of FMK Credit Education Center, a company whose mission is to educate the consumer on credit issues in the marketplace. Ms. King, welcome back to the airwaves.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on.
You know, we're really interested in your experience with the outreach laboratory for these inner city youth to gauge their business and financial skills. What did you learn from that experience?
Oh, it's amazing. I was part of Granville Academy's outreach, and believe it or not, it was phenomenal. You had kids from the inner city, and the kids that we basically represented were kids who lived in the Washington, D.C. southeast area. And these kids had potential. But believe it or not, they did not realize that when we did these laboratories, we did it at a university. We did it at George Mason University. These kids were 13 and 14 years old, male and female. And what they didn't know, that we gave them textbooks. They did not know that they were math textbooks, and that's why we say math is universal. We gave them math textbooks from George Mason University's college students. It was like junior and sophomore students' math books, but they didn't know that. They just thought it was like math books for someone at the age of 13 and 14. And those kids solved those math equations not knowing that it was for graduate students. And that showed right there how much potential that they had when they gave the opportunity to be in a different environment.
Wow. Are you saying that if they had been told, they may not have done as well?
Yeah, they would say, this is too hard, this is college stuff.
What are we to gauge from that?
It's because a lot of times the youth, so many people are always repeating the same things over again, saying that you cannot do this, you're not going to get out of a disadvantaged neighborhood, you cannot move out of the ghetto because you're not educated, because you don't have the articulate skills, and you don't have the tools that kids who go to private school have. You don't have a leg up. But these kids did not have a leg up. They just saw a group of people, which the Granville Academy was a nonprofit organization that believing in the potential of kids who can excel, but they don't have the opportunity. And the reason why the Granville Academy was called Granville, because the senior vice president of Mobil Oil at the time, his name was Granville. His last name was Granville. And he was a product of public schools, the ghetto, or whatever you want to say. And his teacher knew that he had a brain, even though no one else would pay him any attention. He just thought that's the way he will be forever. But his grade school teacher knew that he had some potential, that he actually was smart, and she was trying to push him, whereas his parents may not have done it, but his instructor did that for him. And even though he did not have the skills, they said, well, you need to go to college, and they pushed him into higher education. And here's a person who never ever thought in his wildest dreams that he would be making way over, like almost close to $500,000 a year, based on where the product of his environment, where he came from, but someone took a chance on him. So that's why he started this Granville Academy, and because he was high up in the Mobil Oil division, And they said, okay, this is your baby. And he said he knows that there's jewels in the rough in these disadvantaged neighborhoods because he was the product himself.
That is a phenomenal story, and it's a story that we hear so often. I know sometimes that with children, sometimes expectations don't always meet reality. But I think this story is very important. And it's important for many reasons. It's just sort of like somebody when they're pregnant. When you're pregnant, what do you imagine that your child would be like? Were you thinking of a boy? Were you thinking of a girl? Would he look like his father? Would she have your blonde hair or your dark hair? She is kicking a lot, so does this mean she'll be an athlete? And so all these things. And when the long-awaited day comes and the real baby arrives, the imagination just vanishes altogether. And an early challenge of new motherhood is dealing with the disparity between the imagined and the real baby. And that's what you're telling me. Sometimes we deal with the imagine that we've been told that things are difficult for us against the reality when we are the task is thrown at us and we don't really know what the task is and we're expected to do well. We plunge into it and we do very well. Yes,
it's amazing because it just boggled my mind when those kids were creating and solving those mathematical problems like it was nothing. It just blew my mind. And here they thought it was their grade level.
You know, parents often say, Florence, they want their children to be who they are rather than fulfill some parental ambition of who or what they should be. But without realizing it, this goal is sometimes thwarted by concerns left over from a mother's or father's own life.
That's true. And because, believe it or not, the parents feel that, okay, we've never excelled, and so I know my kids will not either. So they don't build any type of incentive or any type of hope within them. You know, they don't really have a spirit to excel because most people, the first role models will be their parents. They're the first people that they will see as an adult. And so if the parents don't have any type of incentive or any type of initiative to do anything, they're going to follow suit until someone on that order, on a parental order, as whether it's a guardian or whether someone, whether you know how they have the big brothers and big sisters and things like that, and like the school teacher that I gave you an example, see that potential. And believe it or not, the kids want that because they're at that age when these kids were 13 and 14 where they're just absorbing information because it's so much of it they want. And they can be groomed. Yeah, of course you can be groomed at the age of 2 and 3 and 4 years old too, but sometimes you don't allow a kid at the age of 3 and 4 at the toddling age to enjoy themselves as a kid. But the best time when kids can think and that they are want to actually, because they're looking, they're very visual at the time, so they're looking at the tube, they're looking at TV, they see the finer things in life, but they feel that, I will never achieve that. Because it's like, well, that's just for someone else. Sometimes
what we try to do, we try to redo our own lives, repair our mistakes, or fill lost ambitions through our children, and perhaps what we do is that we imagine our own path not taken will be followed by a child. And so the failure to excel at a particular subject, whether it's math or science in school, or develop a wish for talent, it's really experienced by a parent, and as a result, by the child as a failure. And both negative expectations, the anticipation of characteristics we don't want to accept, and positive expectations, the ambitions we dream of for our children, can be equally intrusive in the development of the real child. And behavior seen from the vantage point of negative expectation is often then viewed as problem behavior, and despite our good intentions, we may try to correct something in our child simply because we identify it with our own past. We identify something we don't like in ourselves, and so we have difficulty seeing our child as someone separate from ourselves. And is that fair?
You're so right, because case in point, here's a prime example, and a lot of people out in the radio audience could probably relate to this. Years ago, when a person was left-handed and they would start writing left-handed, the teachers would hit them on the knuckles and say that you are not supposed to write right-handed, left-handed. You're supposed to be writing with your right hand, and they will make a person actually write with their right hand when they were left-handed. And it took years before scientific data found out that you never should do that, because you're stumping that person's creativity, and then all of a sudden you have a left-handed person who most people who can relate, who are probably in their 60s and 70s now, because that has happened to them, who can't even write because not legible, because they really should have been writing with their left hand. And so they're stumping creativity. And so it's the same with some parents doing the same thing with kids who like to draw. And I mean, if you look at their peers and they might be drawing a picture, and you're like, wait a minute, my child is drawing something that looks like something.
Hold that point. Star Armstrong Williams Show, WTNT AM 730 and 102.9 FM. Florence King is our guest. We'll be back.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Does your school, team, church, or charity need a new fundraiser? Do you need to work out of your home or part-time? Are you a small business that can use an additional revenue stream? Then you need Yellow Llama. Do you need affordable web services or tools to enhance your existing business? Are you a graphic artist who wants to create a revenue stream with your art but not get ripped off? Then go to www.yellowllama.com.
Anderson Brothers Bank, a family-owned and operated establishment that blends traditional personal service, local market awareness, and advanced technology to meet the financial needs of its customers. Visit abbank.com or call 843-464-6271 to see how they can assist you with your banking needs. Anderson Brothers Bank, celebrating 75 years of community banking, the way it should be. Stability right in your backyard since 1933.
Most Americans simply have never been taught the basics of money management, let alone how to secure their financial future. But there is hope. Financial Education and Literacy Advisors, also known as FELA, does what others don't. FELA teaches financial education. If you'd like more information about providing a financial wellness program for your employees, or a credit-bearing college course in personal finance, or other valuable programs, please visit myfela.com. That's myfela.com, or send an email to info@myfela.com.
Hi, this is Armstrong Williams with an opportunity to own a piece of paradise in Nassau, Bahamas. Spectacular land prices, 8,000 square feet, 20,000 square feet lot, affordable prices, hilltop properties with views of the magnificent sea. Just call 242-677-3120 or 3121 or go to info@rightsidewire.com and leave your information.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
And welcome back to the Armstrong Williams Show. It's interesting, Dr. King, that we're talking about kids and expectations and how much parents influence their kids, because when you set no limits on your kids, there will be no limits in their ambition.
That's true. That is so true. And kids, they have their potential They don't even realize that they don't have. They feel that they can do anything, and for someone to actually not that vision that they have, it's very sad, because you have kids who have different skills, and it usually manifests at a young age. Whether it's singing, whether it's dancing, whether it's drawing, it manifests. And if you're looking at their peers, and you can see right away that it's a big difference, you will be surprised. But now people realize that it's people who realize the ignorance, that now people know about creativity. Because you can imagine, remember in the Dark Ages when they actually used to kill redheads?
Yes, as witches. As witches.
Yes. So, I mean, just out of ignorance.
Oh, wow. That is, it is, so much happens out of ignorance, though. Sometimes parents destroy chances of their kids out of ignorance because they just don't know any better.
Potential, yes. They don't know any better. And here you could have another Picasso or Rembrandt living right among you, and you dampen their skills.
One of the things that you're such an expert and so prolific at is helping people understand the importance of credit. What can we do to instill this into young people at an early age?
Oh, it's so important. And what I get upset about is most of the schools, they're not teaching anything of financial literacy. They're not teaching credit management in the schools. In some classes, just in the past 2 or 3 years, a lot of the programs are sort of after-school programs, but it's not on the curriculum. And it's kind of sad. And so when they become 21, a lot of times they get into trouble with their credit and with making choices because it's not taught in school. And then how can a parent teach that to the kids, especially if they are, from a family that might be living on the poverty level? That's the last thing that they are going to be teaching their children, is how to maybe save their money, or savings plans or investment plans. That's the last thing that's on their mind. The first thing on their mind is how I'm going to feed these kids. And so these same children, they are in the classrooms, but it's not part of the curriculum, especially on credit management, making the right choices, savings. And by the time they're 21, and especially 30, because I can attest to a lot of my clients, when they reach the age of 30, they feel like, okay, I need to maybe get serious about my finances, when they should have been getting serious about their finances when they turned 12.
I want to share something with you. It may shock you, and it may not. I'm always impressed with you. Of course, you know that, and I also know that you're a person of strong faith.
Yes.
You attend McLean Bible Church in Fairfax County. The reason why I bring that up is one of the things that was quite instrumental to my siblings and I when we were growing up is that we had a moral education where values and virtues and principles and right and wrong and respect for fidelity, respecting your body, not become addicted to sex or drugs, where those kind of things were taught to us. So we grew up with a navigation system that sort of not only guided what the gifts that God had blessed us with, the skills, whether it was math and English, writing, and whether it was science, we also had a moral compass that was so critical to our development. And so
You're
why
so right.
and why you have so many talented young people with so many spectacular gifts without that moral education of values and virtues of discerning the good from the bad and the kinds of people that you associate with. Because, you know, when someone would approach us as young boys growing up with drugs and that marijuana, we've said no way, because our moral education taught us, no, I don't want to be a part of that. Whether it was cigarettes.
That will be a no-no from the beginning.
Yes. Talk about that.
It's amazing because really, and that's why we're saying that the core values of the family, especially in the 21st century, it almost has dissipated, because you have, even if it's a single family, you used to at least have that moral compass, because you would have someone who will be, if it was the parents, they will teach the kids the biblical principles, and that they live a spiritual life, and it's just certain things that they wouldn't do anyway. And so, but now the family is sort of have unraveled, and they're not teaching. They're so busy, maybe allowing the TV and social media to actually babysit the kids, instead of they go. When I was young, I know at least once a week, our whole family would have like a Bible study, and Dad would, open the Bible, and it was fun for us, and we would interact and memorize verses, and that was like on a weekly basis, and so it was unheard of us not going to a service or church every Sunday. It was unheard of if we didn't take the time out as a family unit to be together. And we had dinner at the table every night. And I was just reading on one of the news media that the average family now only get together twice a week at the dinner table.
You know,
and some of them don't even do that.
You know,
and
you
we
just
did
said
it every day of the week.
You just said something that is so vital, and that is the family get together, the dinners. Because you know what? Even when my brothers, who were sometimes on a different schedule than we were, when they would come home late and would sit at the dinner table, my father would insist that no matter one of us always sit at the table with them so they would not eat alone. Because it was not just about the food, it's the sustenance that you exchange with each other to make you each other better and to grow. To talk about the kinds of things that you faced today and how you dealt with those challenges. But something else you said that's important.
Right.
You talked about some things. You talked about some things that we would not do. No, we did some things, but we did it in moderation. We did not. It got become addictive. It got become obsessive for us. We knew that we were just experimenting, but it's nothing that would last long because our moral navigation system would just kick in.
Oh yes, that's true. And my gosh, we feared. We loved our parents, but we feared them as well. We didn't want to disappoint them, and it was just. They would ask us a question, and it's like, oh, my God. It was as if our parents would find out, so we better tell the truth if we did something wrong.
Yeah, but, we don't talk about this enough. A moral education is so critical.
Yes, it is. It is so critical. And think about it. Especially during the time of slavery, the only type of literature that a slave had, and of course it was against a law to read, but it was the Bible. And a lot of people was educated on the Bible. And think about it, the same Bible that slaves read years ago, we are still reading today. And Proverbs and all of the other passages or chapters in the Bible still relate to everyday life today.
It is so refreshing that when you and I come together to have these conversations, to see sometimes where it leads. Because when we were growing up, there is no such thing as depression and the blues and suicide. No. Kids were happy.
Oh, that's true. We didn't even realize that, When they say now, statistics are saying, well, the poverty level is a family of four, husband and wife, two kids who make less than $20-some thousand a year. There was no such thing as a poverty level way back then.
Because we had each other. We had each other.
Yes. No one had statistics like that. It was like, if you were poor, you didn't know it.
Florence, how can someone get more information on you and the credit? Because,
great.
So much respect for you.
Yes, I really appreciate your time. If anyone wants to get to know more information about FMK Credit Education Center, because we are advocates for the consumer, just go to our website, and our website have our address and telephone numbers and all of that, and the website is www.f as in Florence, MKINC, like incorporated.com. So that's FMKINC.com.
Thank you always for your time. Thank you so much.
Armstrong. I appreciate you having me on.
Well, you're one of my favorite people on the planet, so it's not difficult. And I thank you for sharing your knowledge and your wisdom and experience with us.
I appreciate you having me on, like I said, and I appreciate it. And any time that you need for me to be on, just let me know.
I will, and thank you. www.livestream.com/Armstrong Williams. Thank you for joining us for this edition.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Join the millions of Americans who pursue one of our country's finest traditions, from hunting to sports shooting. Since 1871, the NRA has grown as a service organization involved in all aspects of shooting sports and is a proud defender of the Bill of Rights. Join today to begin taking advantage of exclusive membership offers and discounts, including up to $25,000 in insurance coverage. Contact the NRA today. Call 1-800-672-3888 or visit nra.org.
Hello, my name is Ron Moulton. I'm running as a Republican for the City Council in the nation's capital, a political arena dominated by the Democratic Party. I'm seeking office in Ward 7, overwhelmed by unemployment and poverty. For the first time in decades, we have an opportunity to be elected as the people that need the representation the most are now responding to the principles that will uplift them. For more information about my values and to donate, please visit www.ronmoulton.com.
Most Americans simply have never been taught the basics of money management, let alone how to secure their financial future. But there is hope. Financial Education and Literacy Advisors, also known as FELA, does what others don't. FELA teaches financial education. If you'd like more information about providing a financial wellness program for your employees, or a credit-bearing college course in personal finance, or other valuable programs, please visit myfela.com. That's myfela.com, or send an email to info@myfela.com.
To travelers along the road of life who have fallen asleep at the wheel, to the many who woke up in time to avert disaster and get back on the righteous path. For the ones who crashed and survived and now adhere vigilantly to a virtuous and righteous path. Finally, Armstrong Williams' much-anticipated new book, Reawakening Virtues, gives his insights into these daily challenges and much more. Reawakening Virtues is available in bookstores and at Amazon.com.
Does your school, team, church, or charity need a new fundraiser? Do you need to work out of your home or part-time? Are you a small business that can use an additional revenue stream? Then you need Yellow Llama. Do you need affordable web services or tools to enhance your existing business? Are you a graphic artist who wants to create a revenue stream with your art but not get ripped off? Then go to www.yellowllama.com.
dare you to listen.
Hey, turn it up, hey. Armstrong, get on the right side. Armstrong,
Elevate your mind.
Armstrong,
I'm Armstrong Williams on the right side.
Yo, man, it's your boy KO. And you're tuned into the most conservative of our brothers.
The Armstrong Williams Show. Please give me a break. Grow up.